Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. As you guys probably know, if you've been watching these videos, I collect a lot of things. My wife once called me the collector of collections, and I'm actually working on a book with that title. And one of the things that I have been collecting for about 10 years now are lunchboxes, kids lunchboxes. And it's literally started with a really a kooky story. Is I had these white shelves. You know what? I've already got a slideshow loaded up, but afterwards I'll show you these shelves. But I built these white shelves to hold DVDs, is what I built it for. And my DVD collection outgrew the shelves. And so I had to buy something else to store my DVDs. This was a long time ago. But I really liked the shelves. They were like the first thing I built that didn't look like crap. It didn't have nails sticking out of it and stuff. And I'd actually put like trim on the front of it. They looked decent, you know. And so I was like, what else could I use these for? And I had a lunchbox, and I just tested the lunchbox, and it fit perfectly. I mean, there's like a half inch of clearance. And I said, you know what? I should just buy some more lunchboxes. And so that is how I started collecting lunchboxes. Now, I had lunchboxes as a kid, and my friends had lunchboxes and stuff. Of course, I grew up, I started school. I mean, I went to kindergarten starting in 1978. And then by the time I got to middle school, I started getting, there was a not just cafeteria line, but also a fast food line. And so I started going through the fast food line, and which served like a slice of pizza, and you could get a soda, or I would get a milkshake a lot. And so, but in between all that time, I took my lunch a lot. Not every day, because I always had a lunch ticket or whatever. But I probably took my lunch maybe twice a week. You always took your lunch if they were serving something you didn't like on that day. So that was one reason I would take my lunch. And, sometimes you just did it. Sometimes you just wanted to take a lunch, So in my school, the people that took their lunch got to go to lunch first. You went right to the head of the line, and then you went to go sit down. You didn't have to wait through the line. And I had other friends that brought their lunch. So if, in elementary school, it was very much like you go through the line and you sit down and you eat in the order of the line. You couldn't go walk all around and do all that. So if your friends brought their lunch and you brought your lunch, you all got to sit together, So that was kind of, that was definitely part of it. And of course, as a little kid, I guess part of it is I took my lunch because my mom made my lunch, So I don't know that I always had a say in that. But anyway, I don't think it's the first lunchbox I ever owned, but one of the first lunchboxes I owned is right here. I've got a cough. Sorry. I think these are a little dusty. Is this. And this is a Empire Strikes Back lunchbox. And I'm going to look here. I know there's some writing on here, and I'm assuming this is, copyright 1980. So Empire Strikes Back came out. There's some cups in here. I'll show you the cups if you want to see them. But so Empire Strikes Back came out in May. All the Star Wars movies up until recently all came out Memorial Day weekend. So Empire Strikes Back came out in May of 1980. And so I got this lunchbox. And so when I went back to school in 1980, which would have been second grade, I guess, second and third grade, I know, I had this lunchbox. This is not a like one I picked up later. This is the actual lunchbox that I had when I was a kid. And the reason that I still have it is because my sister and I both had like little things of art supplies, like pens and pencils and crayons, colored pencils, stuff like that. Sharpies. We always had Sharpies laying around. And so we would keep them we kept these lunchboxes and we would keep our stuff in it. My sister had a different lunchbox. Oh, that lean back here. Oh, sorry. My sister had the Little Orphan Annie lunchbox. Now, as far as collecting goes, I much prefer metal lunchboxes. Of course, as you know, first of all, a metal lunchbox, I don't know if you can see that, but they're embossed. So each one is slightly, each model is different. You can see how it pokes out, where the people are and things like that. Also, on a metal lunchbox, you get stuff on every side, right? You get, you get all these little different movie scenes and things like that. There's the orphans. We love you, Miss Hannigan. There's Miss Hannigan fighting with Miss Warbucks, or Mr. Warbucks' secretary. And there's Rooster and all this. So I have seen Annie about a zillion times because my sister loved Annie. She also loved strawberry shortcake, and I also have up here, but I've already put it up on the shelf. But I also have the strawberry shortcake lunchbox that my sister had. I don't know why we saved these lunchboxes so long, but in a way, lunchboxes were a part of your identity as a kid. You know what I mean? Like you were like, this is who I am. I'm Empire Strikes Back guy. Like I'm Star Wars. This is my Star Wars lunchbox. I will, just because it's here and we're all here and we're having a good time. I will open this up, and inside here I've got these mugs, and I had these mugs when I was a kid, and I had them on display up there where the lunchboxes are. But these are, this is an Empire Strikes Back. You've got Han, Luke, Leia. This is a Hoth style mug. And then I have this other one. This was the bad guys mug. I've got so many things balanced here. Eventually this is all going to fall off my little table here. But you've got Boba Fett. You've got Darth Vader. Is that the only? Yeah, that's all only people on here. Should have put a stormtrooper or something on there, and then it just says Empire Strikes Back. So, these mugs came with I'm showing too many things. I'm going to run out of things. They came with cereal bowls, and I had cereal bowls, and so we would have breakfast before school, and we would have a little drink or whatever in our little mug, and these Empire Strikes Back cereal bowls. I don't have the cereal bowls. They're all over eBay. They're not that expensive, but I don't have those anymore. But anyway, so let me show you the project that I have been working on to keep my mind off of cable news. Gosh, I just can't take it anymore. I'm sick of it. So let's see. I believe I could go from here. Let's jump over to this. This is inside my Ford Flex with all the seats rolled down. There are 3 rows of seats in my Ford Flex. This is a tour of my car, but those are 8-foot long boards. Now I had they're 6 inches deep. I really had hoped to buy the type of wood. It's like shelves that's already covered. It's not from mica, but it feels like that. It's like, that little plastic, almost laminate covering, and they're white or whatever. I really wanted to just buy wood that was like that. But when I went to Home Depot, they didn't have enough of the sizes that I needed, and it was going to be about 3 times as expensive. So each one of these pieces of wood was around $7 for 8-foot slats of wood. So I got 6 of those. Do I still? You know what? I need to. I had the mouse. You know what? I'll leave the mouse pointer on. I had it on to use as a pointer. And then I got busy painting, and so I don't need to explain painting, but I bought some white paint. I got it a long time ago, but it works. I got it at Habitat for Humanity, and they sell what they call recycled paint, which is paint that they use for when they paint houses and stuff. And when it's done, it all goes back into cans, and they sell it. So it's really cheap. It's like $12 a gallon instead of $30 a gallon at the big box store. So I just bought a can of white and a can of gray because I thought I will paint things white and gray someday. And sure enough, the time came up. So I painted the shelves white and brought them into my office, which is where I'm sitting right now. And, I already had these bookshelves sitting here. And so I used, I measured, and there's like 26 or 27 inches from here to here, which is exactly perfect because a lunchbox is like 7.5 inches tall, even with the handle. So I figured that I could get 3 rows of shelves up here. So the first shelf goes over here, and then it basically just rests on top of this bookshelf, which is nice because I didn't have to use as many brackets to hold it to the wall. And then I used a lunchbox here just to basically measure the height that I was going to need. So the unfortunate part of this project is every step of the way has involved standing on a ladder. My knees are killing me because I've been up and down a ladder about 30 times in the past 24 hours. So this is a shot of a trick that I use when I am building shelves. So I measured 7.5 inches, something like that. And then I went out into the workshop and I cut a few 2x4s that are all exactly 8 inches tall. And so what I did was find where the studs were in the wall first, and then I could use these braces and basically set the shelf at the height I wanted to set it. And then, because I had it already lined up with the studs, and then I could just attach these little hinges to the wall. Now, I'll say this, in case you're looking and asking, this is not the right way to mount a hinge. Not a hinge, but a bracket. This bracket, in theory, should go underneath so that the weight of the shelf sits on the bracket. And the way I have it, the bracket's on the top, and so all the weight is being held by screws going in. But I have 3 screws in here. But these lunchboxes really don't weigh that much, and I have a lot of brackets, so I don't think I'll have any problem supporting the weight. The other thing I'm going to do is there's space between where the lunchboxes sit and the back part here, so I may take a 1x4 and paint it white and stick it back behind the lunchboxes, so you'll never see it from the front, but it will give just a little extra support just in case. So I may do that before this is all over. And so this was as of last night, I guess. This is the second row of shelves, and you can see the little brackets up here, but again, you won't see them at all once the lunch boxes have all been set up and are in place. And this is my wife, who you may have heard on the last episode of You Don't Know Flack when we talked about the magazine. I'm sure she is not happy about this photo. She was not planning to be a part of me taking pictures or whatever, but she was helping me bring in some of my old lunchbox collection, which again, my lunchboxes have been out in the garage for 2 years, stored away in boxes. I still haven't unpacked everything, but the one thing you could see in this picture is that now all 3 layers of shelves have been attached. And so now this is what I have been doing. I think I have one more picture after that, but I've started filling these in. I figured if I go straight across and I didn't pull out the thermoses, but I do love the thermoses, that I could put 15 to 16 lunch boxes. No, I could put a lot more. With the thermos, I can do 15. So I'll be able to get all my... I have about 50 lunch boxes, I think. I like when... Here's another pet peeve that I'm about to break. I don't like it when people go, I don't like to do this, but... And then they say when they've done this, right? So I greatly prefer metal lunch boxes. That being said... Oh, and I greatly prefer vintage lunch boxes. So that's the 2 points I was going to make. And now I'm going to tell you where I have broken both of those rules. I don't know if I showed these last time, but these are all relatively new. These are Midway lunchboxes with Gauntlet, Joust, and Defender. I don't like how big it says Midway Classic Arcade, and this one is just ridiculous how big they've put the logo on that, but these are new. So there are a few new ones in here. This Hawaiian Punch one is relatively new. So a lot of these, I would call it like this Hawaiian Punch one. I have a few other ones. I just bought this one over here, which is looks like a boom box, which I just thought was fun. So I consider those to be filler. If this whole thing got filled up, that's what I would pull off. I would pull off the more modern, Hawaiian Punch. I would pull that out and replace it with a classic one. Now, I will say, and the other thing I was going to say is that I don't really care for plastic lunchboxes. They're not my favorite. I really greatly prefer the old school metal ones like that. But that being said, when I find ones that are plastic that are of a franchise or IP that I really like, and they don't make metal ones, then I will get the plastic one. For example, by the way, here's a Monopoly one that somebody gave me, but you can see it's not going up there. This was a shelf filler. I also don't like the smaller sized ones, which so this one is like everything. It's new, it's smaller sized. So this one is not going up. But like, here's one for Mad Balls. Here's one for the real Ghostbusters. I have one for the original Ghostbusters, but they switched from metal to plastic around 1982. So for 81, around there, 81, 82, there were both, but pretty much everything after 82, for the most part, is, talking vintage, is plastic. And so if you want a Mad Balls lunchbox like I did, or real Ghostbusters, or I have a Photon one, I have some other ones, then you got to go with plastic. And so that's just kind of the way it is. And so the reason that these are all sideways, because I have to go up and down this ladder, like I told you. And so I go, and that's what all these are, is that I go up the ladder and I put as many as I can within reach, and then I climb the ladder and I try to fill it in, and so this is what it looks like, right? And like literally, I took this right before I started recording. I've got 6 or 7 Star Wars related lunchboxes, so I'm going to try to group all those in one area right here. Let's go to the tape, folks. Let's see which other ones I've added. This one, you know what? I'm really kind of shooting myself in the foot here, because I'm showing all these lunchboxes, which means I'm not going to be able to show individual lunchboxes. But you know what? There are plenty of other things in the room for future episodes of Rando Rob, so don't you worry about it. But this is a Captain Crunch. This was a handout at NBA games for the Detroit Pistons. I don't know why they did it there, but I did. You know what? There's a funny story about this lunchbox. I ordered this lunchbox off of eBay, and the seller sent it through media mail, which, if you know anything about media mail, you can't send lunchboxes. You can only send media. Essentially, you can only send things that would go to libraries, is kind of what they say. And it can't have advertising. So this is not a book, and it has advertising, so you can't send this through media mail. And it arrived at my house with all these angry letters from the post office, where they had opened it up and said there was postage due and all these things. And so I sent it to the seller. And the funny thing is that I paid, I think $10 for this. And then when the postmaster sent all these things back or whatever, they sent him a bill and it was $14. So the guy lost money by trying to pull the old quickie on the post office. But there you go. Here's a cool Secret of Nim one. I have lots of Muppets and Muppet Show and Sesame Street ones. So after all the Star Wars ones, I'll pull these out and I'll group all those together. I think this is a Clash of the Titans. And there's a Buck Rogers. I have a personal cutoff for lunchboxes. It used to be 10 and 20. I used to say I would only pay $10 for a plastic one and 20 for a metal one. unfortunately, over the past 10 years, that's just not possible anymore. Like, I would love to have a Raiders of the Lost Ark or a Temple of Doom, any of the Indiana Jones ones. But the cheapest I've seen of those is like $75. So I think I paid, I got a good deal on this Star Wars one. I think I paid like 30 or something. This is not my original one. I do think that I had this one as a kid. It does seem familiar to me, but anyway, here's that photon one, and it's one that I have the thermos to. So, but again, if I loved Photon. I was a huge, I did a whole episode of You Don't Know Flack on Photon. But if you want a Photon lunchbox, you're going to have to do it in plastic. So there it is. So anyway, here's the last picture, and the one that I really wanted to show you, and this is what the whole show has been building up to. This is me and my sister. This would have been. My mom would always take a picture of us on the first day of school, and so I'm going to play detective here a little bit. So this is me, little baby Jack Flack. I have so this was the thing that you would put your little pencil box that you would take to school, but you took it on the first day of school. So I'm sure this is the first day of school. It has Robbie written right there, and then here's my cool Trapper Keeper that I had. And then if you look down here, I don't know how much I can zoom in without this getting super distorted. Not bad. But you can see this is the Empire Strikes Back lunchbox that I was just showing you. This is the exact same lunchbox that I had. This is my sister, who's 3 years younger than me. And I was looking at this. When I first looked at this, I thought that this was Annie based on the red and the white, but now I'm second guessing myself, and I think maybe this is the Strawberry Shortcake. I'll have to pull the Strawberry Shortcake one back down off the list and figure it out, but it doesn't look like the side stuff here doesn't look like Annie, so I don't think that is an Annie lunchbox. So I'll have to figure out which one that is, but yeah, so this is my sister and I. So this would have been, I don't think this is her in kindergarten. I think this would have been first grade for her, which would have been fourth grade for me. And that would make sense. The lunchbox is 1980. So second, third grade, somewhere around there. There's not really too much else. I mean, we've got some cars in the driveway, but they don't really... they were cars that we had for a long time, so it doesn't really set. We had this. This is a Mercury Zephyr station wagon, which my mom drove for a while, and then she got a 1974 Cadillac. It's this big, long Cadillac convertible, and then there's my dad's Chevy Blazer, which was this year of the Blazer. The top came off of the entire truck. So the entire truck was a convertible. So not just the back here, but also the top, over the cab. This whole thing was open. And so anyway, yeah, we used to go to the drive-in in the back of this thing, and all kinds of fun memories. I don't have too many pictures of that Blazer, but so anyway, as we wrap up here, that is pictures of the lunchboxes of the lunchbox. And again, that would have been in 1980, possibly 1981. And here it is in 2020, 40 years later. The plastic has faded slightly. I have some other ones that are red, and the red is a little bit deeper red than this one. So, but the sticker is all still stuck on there. It's all, it's not peeling off. The sticker hasn't faded. But again, I wish I'd taken those cups out so they weren't rattling the whole time. But again, it's just plastic. It just says thermos on there, and there's nothing special about this. In fact, I have thought about, but I've never done this, but I've thought about if I ever ran across a cheap plastic lunchbox like that was some brand that I didn't care about, I would pick it up. And then I would just make my own covers, like make a label that would say, you don't know flack or whatever, just switch it out every now and then. I thought maybe that would be funny to do, but I've never actually done that. So before we started, I took some ibuprofen for my knee, which is killing me from going up and down the ladder. I've been up and down the ladder moving lunchboxes. But the ibuprofen has set in. And so I've got, basically that's 2 boxes that I've set up so far up there, and I've got 2 boxes to go. There's a thing about collecting stuff. There's multiple parts of collecting. There's the collecting part, which is, for me, one of the most fun parts, or probably the most fun part, is the hunt. I've said this before. I just don't get any excitement out of, not that I don't do it. I do it a lot, but I don't get excitement out of going on eBay and going, oh, here's this lunchbox, click, and then a lunchbox shows up. Like, that's not exciting. I do it when there are lunchboxes that I want and I'm, looking for something specific for the collection. I've done it, but to me, it's much more fun to go to a garage sale and be like, oh snap, there's a Muppet Show lunchbox, or a thrift store, or more so nowadays, an antique mall, a booth at an antique mall. But the problem is, of course, for antique malls is that these lunchboxes will be 50, 75. There's a antique mall not far from me that has a black hole lunchbox, which I think is pretty cool, and it's $75. I'm not paying $75. I just showed you the pictures. I'm literally, putting them on a shelf in this room. So, if I can find them for around $20, that's great. In fact, a lot of the ones that I have are not in great condition. It's difficult. They look good because they're all up there and they're on display, whatever. But a lot of them have rust. A lot of them, not a lot, but a few of them have broken handles or stuff. I try to fix the handles or, mishmash and put piece together, ones that are complete or whatever. And a lot of them don't have the thermoses. I like the thermoses, but they just don't all have thermoses, But, again, for me, so the first part that I get the most enjoyment out of is the hunt, is going and finding these things out in the wild. But the other part is what I get enjoyment from is displaying them. And really, that's not the right word. It's not displaying them. It's seeing them, So displaying them, I think for me, infers that it's for other people. So you put it on display and someone comes over your house and they go, wow, I didn't think you were cool, but now I see that you have a bunch of lunchboxes from the 70s and 80s, and now I think you're super cool. That's never actually happened, but wouldn't that be great if that happened? But so to me, displaying is for other people. But just putting them out and showing them or whatever, it is displaying them. It's kind of a matter of semantics, but it's a thing where it's for me. So every time I'm going to be sitting here at the computer from now on, and I go like this, and I go, oh yeah, there's those lunchboxes, and I may be sitting here writing, and I'll look up there for a minute or whatever. So I get no enjoyment out of buying things and then putting them out in a garage or a storage unit or what. It's zero interest for me. It's got to be where I can see it. Now, I had a conversation a long time ago with my good friend Guy Hutchinson, and he told me that he got to the point where he had so much stuff where he just couldn't display all of it all the time. And one of the things he had done was he made a small display shelf, and he would rotate out the things that were displayed on that shelf like once a month, whatever. I think that's a fantastic idea. That's one of those things where you go, wow, I wish I'd have thought of that. And then you just steal that idea for yourself, So I think, for some things, it's not fair for me to say, oh, all my stuff is out all the time, because I just, nobody has the room to display all my stuff all the time. But, again, that's where I get the enjoyment of seeing the stuff, interacting with the stuff, playing with the stuff. That's, that's what does it for me. And so having those lunchboxes sitting out, out in the garage is just, terrible to me. But now that I'm able to, put them up on display and take a look at it, I know that I'm going to get a lot more enjoyment out of that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. As I mentioned at the beginning, I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're mentally healthy. I hope you're physically healthy right now. It's crazy times. But I think, through podcasts, through online communities, through chatting, email, things like that, I know that a lot of it's a way that I deal with things a lot of times, and I hope you guys have found ways to do it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not affected by anything. You're like, what is going on down there in the States? In which case, I'm not going to tell you. Pretend like you don't know. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you all here next week. Oh, you know what I did want to mention at the very end? I keep tweaking. I got I've never had an EQ on this show because I have a USB microphone, and I always wanted an EQ where I could fiddle with knobs and stuff like that, but I don't know of a way to do that with a USB mic. I thought I could plug a USB mic into a box and I would have physical knobs or sliders or something for EQ, but I've not been able to find that. So I found some software EQs, and I think that I've got the settings dialed in. But if you've noticed over the past few episodes of Rando Rob or my Sprite Castle Plays streams, if my voice sounds different a little bit each time, it's because I'm tweaking the EQ and trying to get the best sound. I really want to get started on recording my audiobook, and this is one part of that is tweaking the sound. So I do kind of use these as a little bouncy board to test the audio settings. So hopefully everything sounds right this week. And I will talk to you guys. I'll see y'all next week. Thanks again.